Hello, Chen Heng.
Hi, Chef Ming.
Hi. So I'm all ready and I'm geared up to go fishing. Where are we gonna fish?
Yeah.
What's going on? In here? Are you sure? I'm Ming Tan. Chef, restaurateur. This is for Oktoberfest also, is it? And TV host. Alright, Winnie, we have our ingredients laid out here. I am a big believer in the transformative power of food. How did I end up here? Well, that's because in this episode, I lost him. I'm investigating how we can grow more food with fewer resources and learning how to farm from space.
The spacecraft that are actually imaging the Earth and taking those pictures that the farmers used.
And eating a lot of unexpected foods. Smells like egg. Tastes like egg. This is a setup, right?
100% plant-made.
Just to show you how food is key to saving our planet. My idea of fishing is, well, at some kind of open body of water. A pond, at least. First try, alright. Nice size. But I've been brought to this cargo container. It looks like a regular container used for shipping. Okay, I got it. This one is a good 800 plus grams, almost a kilo, I think. I'm gonna face the camera for you. Oh, okay, get it. Lost. Turns out this is a fish farm. But unlike its conventional counterparts known for polluting the water, this farm has a very unique way of dealing with that.
So there are actually two main compartments here. You have the big compartment where you have all the fishes. And then you have the filters that sits underneath the walkway. And the other side is where you have a mechanical filter and the pumping that helps circulate the water. So this is a closed loop system. There's no additional water coming out from outside. Nothing is flowing off to the ground. No, it's all contained inside the container itself. What is the motivation to try and grow fish like this in this container method? Very simply, it's because we don't have much land. So with a container system, it allows you to farm inside a shipping container and you can stack them up easily. Stacking these fish growing containers. Correct. Then you can form a vertical farming. How many can you stack on top of each other? Based on our estimation, we should be able to farm up to 4 layers. So you basically have a fish condo. Yep. This fish farm is about 6 meters long and 2.4 meters wide. It can transform into a 4-story vertical farm, like so. There can even be up to 4,000 fish in this fish condo. And you can put a container everywhere, basically, right? Yep. Typically, you find it being grown in the sea cages. In open sea, you don't know what's coming. If you have a lot of nutrients in the water, when the weather is not suitable, when it gets too hot, too much sunlight, you get algae bloom. So you're trying to solve for two things here. A controlled environment and an environment that doesn't have any restrictions. You can place this anywhere. Yep. I've visited some of the major fisheries across Asia and I loved the experience. Okay. Fish on. Being out in the sea is an amazing adventure and the quality of fish is unparalleled. But the marine life in the world is on the brink of collapsing because of overfishing, coupled with pollution, severe weather changes, and the acidification of ocean waters means that by 2050, we could be looking at 40% less fisheries. You imagine that all these areas where fish are caught, 40% gone. And industrial aquaculture contributes to the problem too. Pesticides. We've got antibiotics going into the water. Fish feces because they need to poop. Also polluting the water, making these waters unfit and unsafe for other species
and for human recreation. Closed-loop farming such as this eliminates all these issues. But how do these fish adapt to living in a container? Turns out, these guys aren't just any regular fish. They are genetically improved sea bass bred at Sanjon Island. What is so special about these sea bass?
There's a few. 1, fast-growing.
Okay.
2, adaptable. 3, disease-resistant.
So this Sanjon Sea Bass, is it better suited to some of these growing conditions, like farming in a container?
Yes, definitely.
And a regular fish that doesn't have this Sanjon's breeding wouldn't be able to do that so well.
It may not do that well.
Because these sea bass thrive in different conditions, they can grow in closed containers as well as in open seas. Just arrived on Sanjon's Island. It's a little bit cloudy and drizzly today, but we're quite hopeful we'll find out a little bit more about this sea bass. St. John's Island is located approximately 6.5 kilometers from the main island of Singapore. It's a popular destination for hiking or beach picnics. But not everyone knows that this is also Singapore's Centre for Marine Research. Boom, there you go.
Yeah.
What's in this feed, Richard?
There is some fish meal, some fish oil, also plant-based ingredients. For these fish are used for genetic selection and breeding. We're going to use a very high quality feed.
How do these fish differ from the fish that we get on our plates?
These fish are larger. As you can see, you cannot find this size on the market. They're also older. These are probably 1.5, 2 years old, and they are the parents of what you will find on the market. Probably the grandparents in this case.
So, these are the grandparents. And these little guys are the youngest offspring of St. John's sea bass. They are the result of around 20 years of careful genetic selection.
They're hunters, so they like to hunt for their prey.
Richard and his team identify the key genes responsible for certain traits they want to enhance, such as resistance to disease or higher nutritional value.
Hello guys, look at all of you. You're also curious, huh?
Then they breed the fish who are the most robust to create a generation of little fingerlings or young fish who will possess the same traits but improved. Right, Richard, I see you set up some equipment here. What are we about to do?
We're about to do something very classical in genetic selection. We're going to identify them, take the body weight, the length, measure the fillet, and also the quality of the fillet, the omega-3 composition of the fillet. The next step is to identify this fish. Yeah, we have a transponder inside the fish. This device will help us to find the number. This number is the code of the fish. It tells us all the data we've already collected on him in the past. So we can check the growth, the evolution of this growth in time, the growth of its parents, the growth of the grandparents, and thanks to that we can decide if we select for the next generation or not. Next is to collect a small sample of tissue. And from this we're going to extract the DNA. We will look for the markers that will help us to link this fish to its parents, his relatives, his offspring.
Now you know the lineage. Anything you want to keep or take away, you are more able to identify that.
Yeah, we especially look for families with the same abilities.
And it's not only about health and resilience. This selective breeding process started in 2002, and each generational cycle is about 3 years. Richard and his team have collected an enormous amount of data on the genetic pool of the Sanjon Sea Bass. Based on this data, they can identify the best gene lineage for the next generations of fish. In terms of meat yield, what have you guys achieved so far?
On these fish, we've improved the growth quite a lot, 70% growth improved, and together with the growth, we also increased the fillet yield.
I've seen sea bass like this being grown in shipping containers. Are the types of sea bass that you are trying to develop here meant to thrive in that?
Yes, totally. totally selected for that. And now we end up with a line that is adapted to these systems.
So this is a nice-sized fish, quite thick, good meat, and it was raised in a closed-loop system, so not exposed to pollution and raised with no antibiotics. But does a larger, more resilient fish mean a more nutritious fish? I've ordered a lab test to find out how Sanjon Sea Bass from the container farm compares with its regular counterpart from an open water fish farm. Nose to tail. We're just shy of 42.8. Sanjon Sea Bass is a breed of fish that is more robust than most regular sea bass. But how nutritious is it compared to regular sea bass? A lab test will help me find out.
So the fish contain a slightly higher protein at 21% in comparison to the regular sea bass fish at 18%.
What else do we look at?
So the next thing that we look at is the fat content. We found that the fish contain higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids at 0.34% in comparison to the regular sea bass fish at 0.14%.
That's a lot of difference. As I have learned in an earlier episode, omega-3 fatty acids are essential for our brains to function well. But they are lacking in the diets of many developed countries, including Singapore. So the selectively bred Sanjon Sea Bass might be better for our health than the regular variety. It's also more resilient and adaptable than many other farmed fish, which makes it a more sustainable choice. So down to the ultimate test. I always believe flavor is key here, so it's time to find out which fish tastes better. Hello, I've got some fish here for you today. Tay Lin Chaw owns an Italian restaurant which serves Sanjon's sea bass, the selectively bred fish I have taken under the microscope. To Mr. Tay, the quality of this fish is unparalleled. Right back, behind you. Today, however, I'm throwing him a curveball. I bought sea bass from another farm, and I will serve it to his regular customers. I wonder which one they'll prefer. The two fish are indistinguishable. We got our garnishes, and our sauce is nice and warm. Which is this sea bass?
This sea bass is the fish we use.
So this is your sea bass, right? And then this one is the one that we brought in.
Yeah, but
Okay, so we're gonna plate up one portion of sea bass onto each plate, right?
yeah, we just put some salad.
So I'm honestly quite curious to see whether or not the guests can tell whether there's a difference. Hello, good afternoon.
Wow.
These look like identical dishes, but the sea bass is slightly different. I want you to try both, swap them, and then tell us if you can taste the difference and which one you prefer also. Okay? Enjoy your lunch, guys.
I personally prefer this one.
Did you taste the difference?
I think texture, this one is a bit more flaky, and this one feels a bit more tender.
Well, it's definitely the different layers of flavors, and you can taste the sweetness and then the umami flavors. And the flesh itself is actually quite tender. Yeah.
This one, it's much more succulent, and it has more flavor to me.
It's more about the feelings, I think. So as Zoe said, that this fish is more juicy, and I would even say that it melts in your mouth.
Of the two fish that have been cooked exactly the same way, everyone preferred the Sanjon Sea Bass.
This surprises me because I thought the differences were going to be quite subtle. But now as I try it, it is very obvious that the Temasek fish has an edge in terms of flavor and texture.
This is developed by Singapore. I'd like more people to try to taste the Singapore product.
Now, tell me a little bit about pricing.
This price will be slightly higher.
How much higher?
It's about 10%. This is more nutrition, and it's a good quality of the meat.
Thanks to years of meticulous selective breeding by identifying the best genes, Sanjon's sea bass is resilient, sustainable, and, as the small pool of my testers confirm, delicious.